Hello there, welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak for September 28, 2020. Um, Today is one day before the election debate between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. So they're going to duke it out. Let's see who's going to win tomorrow. It may be the biggest debate with most people tuning in from around the world um, in the history of the United States. Most of you are probably planning to watch it, and so is most of the world. I was watching Sky News today, and they're like, "Hey, don't miss the debate." I guess it's like 2 a.m. in England. Yeah, so it's like big news around the world. But another big news is that over 1 million people around the world have died from COVID-19 now. So the number as of today, right now, is 1,555 people in the world have died from COVID-19. Yes, it's over 1 million. Um, I thought I'll share some photos, of you from educators. I'm in the mood for education because we had a Kappa Delta Pi induction ceremony, and as some of you know, I'm the vice president of Kappa Delta Pi, which is International Honor Society, founded, I guess, in 1918 at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So it's been over 100 years that this International Honor Society in Education has existed. And I'm the vice president of Kappa Delta Pi, uh, the chapter at American College of Education, where I'm a Doctor of Education, Ed.D. candidate. I'm working on my Doctor of Education thesis, improving urban education among African American um, students and neighborhoods throughout the United States of America. So my doctoral dissertation is focusing on improving urban public schools. As you know, before going to Georgetown University for my 2 years full-time master's degree in clinical nurse leader at Georgetown School of Nursing and Health Studies, I taught full-time at Savoy Elementary School, fifth grade, and 100% of my students are African American. And the neighborhood is Anacostia. It's an African American neighborhood. Um, yeah, and so I have a heart for African Americans and urban education, particularly focusing on African American populations throughout America. So I've been researching for a long time on this question. As you know, I did my teacher certification training at Virginia Union University, which is HBCU, Historically Black Colleges and Universities member, and it's in Richmond, Virginia. And so I've talked about that several times. Um, yeah, so I have my Master's of Education from University of West Georgia. Go Wolves! Yeah, that's in Carrollton, Georgia. And I flew to Georgia for my graduation, and it got snowed out. So they delayed graduation by several days because of the snow. It was a winter graduation, December graduation. Um, yeah, but oh well. Life is like that. Um, you're listening to Russian music in the background. Russia gave us like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is one of my favorite writers. Theodore Dostoevsky. He wrote Crime and Punishment. But that's not my favorite book. My favorite book is The Idiot. No, I'm not calling you an idiot. It's the title of the book, The Idiot, by Theodore Dostoevsky. So the theme is on love. Um, Crime and Punishment theme is on crime. And I'm a poet, and I'm a published poet and an author of short stories, novel, plays. And so, I like love more than crimes. Um, That's why The Idiot is my favorite book by Dostoevsky. There's a lot of ruminations on love. Um, and the photo that you see before you is from the 2019 National Council of Teachers of English annual conference that was in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm a board member of Standing Committee on Global Citizenship. Um, so that, you know, National Council of Teachers of English is made up of pre-kindergarten to university professors who teach English. Um, and so basically, my committee, Standing Committee of Global Citizenship, we we try to help English teachers understand global citizenship and define global citizenship. We play a very important role. You can read my blogs on global citizenship at the NCTE website. Yeah, so I do what I can to create a multicultural understanding. To help people understand what global citizenship is. Um, I met some Texan educators. They're graduates of University of Texas at Austin, Bachelor of Education program, and they all graduated in May 2019. Um, and so, you know, uh, for actually they are graduating. They graduated in May 2020. So they're seniors at University of Texas, I think. Yeah, I think they were seniors. They're student teaching. Or were they graduates of 2019? But anyway, they're either graduates of May 2019 or May 2020. I think they graduated May 2019. So they all graduated from University of Texas at Austin. And the gal who's in Crimson, she's married. She married her, I guess, high school sweetheart, or was it college sweetheart? So she's happily married woman at age 21. She's a smart woman. I respect people, who are smart like that. Marry the person you love. Obviously, first love is the best love. Everything is downhill from there. you know. Um, but yeah, so they're really, really nice people. I really enjoyed spending some time with them, and yeah, I mean, Texas has great educators. Next to that photo is the president of National Council of Teachers of English. She teaches English at Dordt College in Iowa. Iowa is, I guess they're famous for corn. They're also famous for nice people. Iowa has very nice people. Everybody I met from Iowa are very nice. And next to that is an educator who lives in Arlington, Virginia. I think it's Arlington, Virginia. But she teaches at a private school in Washington, D.C. She teaches English. I think it's Gonzaga. I forgot which school she teaches at. But next to that is another educator, and she teaches actually in Arlington. I said, hi, everyone. Um, yeah, but you know, world is seeing this breakthrough to 1 million deaths. As you see in the United States, we have 205,031 deaths, but 20% of the world's death is in America. 20%. So if 100 million people die in the world, 20 million of the death will be in America. And that's what I'm predicting, that in the flu season, that's 6 months long, there will be 100 million people who die in the world, and 20 million will die in America. Obviously, I don't want that to happen, but we have to be realistic about what's going on. And America has a lot of death. As 281 deaths is the flu. I don't trust the numbers. Tomorrow is the presidential debates, and both Biden and Trump, they don't want to talk about COVID-19. So I don't know. I see something fishy going on. You know, uh, a lot of states are going to be, oh, we're going to report backlog, backlog. California has been doing that. Virginia has been doing that. Florida has been doing that. Texas has been doing that. I think they're like intentionally holding back the numbers because they don't want people to focus on COVID-19 tomorrow. But they need to focus on COVID-19. I mean, geez, COVID-19 is the biggest thing to hit the world uh, since the Black Plagues, since Spanish flu of 1918. I mean, it's bigger than World War One. It's bigger than World War Two. So obviously, President Donald Trump and Vice President Joe Biden needs to talk about COVID-19 because that stopped everything in America, right? People have been fired from their jobs. They have been laid off from their jobs. I mean, companies are going belly up. The business sector is hurting from COVID-19. Don't you want to know what President Trump is planning to do if he wins next 4 years? Don't you want to know what Joe Biden wants to do for next 4 years? Don't you want to hear concrete steps? Not like, oh yeah, well, things will get better. No, we want to hear exactly what they're going to do, step by step. Don't you want to hear it before you vote for any of them? Yeah, we need to hear it. That has to be part of the debate. Who's moderating tomorrow's debate? I hope they focus on this point because that's what Americans want to hear, right? I'm Heerak, Christian Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. And I created this show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak, to save you and your children from COVID-19. It has impacted America in ways that America has never been rattled in its history. World War II was in Japan or in Europe, right? We didn't feel it here. World War One was in Germany. We didn't feel it here. Right, but COVID-19, it's all here in America, in all 50 states. We are feeling it. We are suffering from it. This is very real to us, right? I mean, World War II was out there, thousands of miles away. But COVID-19 is here. We need to talk about it. We cannot push it under the rug. We need to hear what President Trump is planning to do. We need to hear what Joe Biden is planning to do. We need to hear a concrete plan. We don't want to vote somebody in who doesn't have a plan, right? Will you agree with me? Because it's upended your life, it's upended the lives of your children, it's upended your neighborhood, your city, it's upended your retirement funds, it's upended everything you planned, family vacation during the summer. Many of you could not take it. Europe doesn't even allow us to fly in there. I mean, we have our life disrupted. So COVID-19 must be the number one issue that they must talk about tomorrow. We want concrete steps. We want answers. We want them to talk about eventualities. We want to know what they're going to do if 20 million Americans die in the flu season. Because whoever is sworn in January, that person has to deal with 20 million deaths if that happens. Don't you want to hear what their plan is in the event that 20 million people die? I mean, we have to discuss all eventualities, right? We have to know what they're going to do. I mean, if 20 million people do not die, great, praise the Lord. But what if they die? Don't you want to know what their game plan is? Or do you want somebody in the White House who doesn't have a game plan? Who's like saying, oh, it's not going to happen? No, whether it happens or not, you need to have a game plan, right? You need to have plan A, plan B, plan C. That's how we're going to survive COVID. Healthcare experts are saying COVID-19 is forever, right? What Russia could not do in destroying America, COVID-19, this invisible virus, can do in less than 2 years. All throughout Cold War, decades of Cold War, we survived it, right? Not a single Russian missile hit our soil. Not a single person in America died from a Russian missile. But look, we have 205,031 people died from COVID-19 already. And it's not even been a year. And you're telling me that COVID-19 is not an issue that needs to be discussed? We need to discuss it ad nauseum. Because this is here to stay, right? Experts, Dr. Fauci, they're saying COVID-19 will be here at least until end of 2022. World Health Organization is saying COVID-19 is forever, like HIV virus. That's like forever. That as soon as it was discovered, it's been around for decades. No vaccine, no cure, no definitive cure. Hepatitis C virus, as soon as it was discovered, for decades, no vaccine, no definitive cure. Although they say there's a kind of a cure, but it doesn't work on everyone. Herpes doesn't have vaccine or cure, right? And it flares up every time there's a flare, or like a, trigger. We need to know. It's like sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is a condition But I think it illustrates what could happen. What if COVID-19 is like herpes virus that can get triggered? As you know, those of you who have sickle cell anemia, you know it can be triggered by changes in temperature, changes in altitude. It's very painful. We don't know what's going to happen to people who've had COVID, whether the virus is latent in their body and it's going to be triggered, whether it's doing damage in stealth mode. No one knows. No one knows whether COVID-19 virus will cause cancer, because HIV causes cancer in some people. Um, and hepatitis C virus causes liver cancer in some people. Is that something that we can expect from COVID-19? Scientists don't know because this thing is so new. Don't you want to ask questions about how they're going to handle the economy if flu season kills millions of Americans? Don't you want to hear about game plan? I mean, if vaccines don't work, as you know, Heerak, I'm independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district, and I'm predicting zero vaccines will work. Zero, none of them. Because COVID-19 virus strains have not been identified yet. There are over 40 strains. It's mutating constantly. No one has identified it. How are you going to find the vaccine? And Dr. Fauci himself said vaccines not going to protect you 100%. Dr. Fauci also said you will get COVID-19 again and again and again, even if you have antibodies. Antibodies is only temporary. And that's the consensus in the healthcare community. That's the consensus among scientists that it's temporary. That even if you had COVID-19 in March, you could get it again in October, and you could die from the second time you get it. So, don't you want to know what their game plan is for COVID-19? That's the most important thing. You should call in to whoever is moderating, email, text, phone, and tell them to ask some questions that they need to ask. You need to know before you vote what their game plan is for COVID-19. Right? This is not some fairy tale. It's not like Santa Claus, right? Or Tooth Fairy. It's a real thing, right? We have 205,031 people have died. 1 million people have died around the world. Like 20% of them are in America. So you need to know. I don't believe in the liberal media, which tries to shove everything under the rug. This thing is very real. It's not fake, right? But the media seems to, liberal media seems to act like it doesn't exist. There are 205,031 who have died. There are testimony, witnesses, evidence for the fact that COVID-19 exists and it kills a large number of people. 7,147,241 people have gotten COVID. Obviously, we hit the tail end of COVID. I mean, Washington, there was COVID for a while, but most of America, we hit the tail end of COVID flu season. So we didn't really experience the flu season, full run of it. But this is different, right? This flu season, 6 months of it, we're going to experience every single one. Every state has COVID now proliferating. Every single state will have a lot of deaths. If 60,000 people die in one state, in every state, all 50 states, then 3 million people will die. Minimum 3 million people will die. That's my prediction. And I'm thinking more like 20 million Americans. Obviously, I don't want this to happen, but the numbers won't lie. And 60,000 people dying in a state, that's not that hard over a 6-month period. That's average of 10,000 per month. And during 6 months of flu season, people are going to drop dead like left and right, like flies. As you know, United States is #1 for COVID-19 cases and death. We have 3% death rate. #2 is India. They're about 1 million away in terms of cases. So they may catch up to us in 3 weeks. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. India has like over 80,000 cases. We have anywhere between 30,000 to 60,000. We've hit 80,000 before. India is #2. They have 6,074,702 cases, 2% death rate, 95,542. In terms of death, Brazil is #2, but in terms of cases, they're #3. Brazil has 4,745,464 cases, 3% death rate, 142,058 have died. India may surpass Brazilian death rate or number of deaths. Let's see. Flu season is coming. It's 6 months long. There will be a lot of death in United States, India, and Brazil. Top three. Russia is number four. Look at the difference between number three and number four. The top three is separated from like Russia, which has what 1,154,299 cases. So you're listening to Russian folk music in the background. 20,299 deaths. So 2% death rate. You know, have you seen the Nutcracker? It's a great opera. You know, I love going and watching the Nutcracker in Christmas time. Last Christmas, I took University of Pennsylvania alumni um, to watch the Nutcracker. Um, yeah, it was at Strathmore in Bethesda, um, Strathmore Theater. But you know, all the theaters are basically shut down. Strathmore Theater, Kennedy Center, everything is shut down. It's shame. You know, it's like the arts is gone. You know, the COVID has killed the arts. Um, yeah, I mean, you know, how many new songs have come out in the last 6 months? You know, how many new albums? You know, how many new movies? How many new novels and short stories? You know, I mean, the arts is just completely being wiped out right now because of COVID. You can't really have arts growing and proliferating when the country is struggling economically or when the country is in a war or suffering from disease. You know, for arts to grow and um, for artists to be creative, there has to be patrons, people who are going to sponsor it. There has to be venues, and through COVID-19 pandemic, you don't really have patrons because they're all losing their wealth. A lot of billionaires are going to lose all of their wealth. You know, you've heard about the President Trump owing 400 million. You know how many billionaires are going to owe hundreds of millions of dollars that they can't pay back? Because think about it. In New York, they put a moratorium on collecting rents. Let's say you're a billionaire landlord who owns a lot of buildings that collect rent. You cannot collect rent until January 2021. You still have to pay your banks, right? You could foreclose on your loans to your banks. I mean, the way businesses work is you are credit worthy, you have a high credit rating, so banks give you money. You use the money to invest in your business so that people will come and buy your product, use your services. What's happening now is people have borrowed the money because they are credit worthy. Had COVID-19 not struck, they would have easily paid back the loan and made a hefty profit. That's why business people get loans. But the problem is COVID-19 hit in March in a serious way. From March to now, like 6 months, nobody's buying anything except from Amazon.com and Walmart and grocery stores. I mean, people are not really buying much, right? So a lot of businesses are just collapsing. If you're not owning grocery stores or mail in order type of company, I mean, everything is just collapsing. So if you're someone who borrowed millions of dollars to produce a product for people who fly, none of your stuff is going to be sold because no one's flying. So you're going to go bankrupt. You're going to lose everything. You're going to foreclose on your millions of dollars of loan. You're not going to sell anything you made. So they're all going to be like thrown away, or you have to like a penny on a dollar if you're lucky. Because no one needs any kind of air travel stuff now. They won't need it for the next several years, at least. So everybody who's has a company that supports airline industry, they're all going to go bankrupt, right? People who make lunches and dinners, breakfast for airlines, they're all going to go bankrupt because the airline doesn't need anybody to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them because the meals are made by a smaller company, right? Um, yeah, so you're gonna have everybody going bankrupt. It's what we call trickle down economics. If top people go bankrupt, everyone else goes bankrupt, like all the way down the trickle. Yeah, Ronald Reagan talked about trickle down economics. If wealthy people get wealthy, the money trickles down and will enrich everybody. But Ronald Reagan's Reaganomics works also in reverse. If the wealthy people lose their wealth, everybody's going to lose their wealth because everybody depends on the big companies to give them the contract for, like, for example, American Airlines giving you contract for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for your napkins, for your cups, for your cleaning services. Um, if they change their furniture on the airplane, you know, your small company provides that service. Now you're all going to go bankrupt. So we're talking about if American Airlines go bankrupt, we're talking about at least 100 different companies going bankrupt, down to trickle down. Because lunch meal maker for American Airlines buys their raw materials maybe from a local farmer or from a local store. So now they don't need to make stuff for American Airlines, so they don't need to buy all those carrots and all those chickens. So they so local chicken meat producer, they can go bankrupt. So it's a trickle down economics, and obviously everybody's going to get fired, right? American Airlines is laying off tens of thousands of workers, flight attendants, airline pilots, service people, baggage handlers. They're all going to be fired, laid off, whatever, same thing. Um, and then the company that makes lunches, breakfast, dinners for American Airlines, they have to fire everybody. And the company that provides like chicken and carrots, they have to fire more people because they have to stay afloat. And so you see the trickle down economics. Everybody's getting fired. Um, and it's only going to get worse because flu season is 6 months long. People are going to die in exponentially growing numbers. So company after company will go belly up. At the height of flu season, states will be shutting down like they did in March. And that could start as early as like October. Some states will have to shut down starting October, meaning they have to issue a stay-at-home order for you not to leave your home. Some states will have to do that starting October. As early as October for some cities, some regions. So you can imagine what's coming. It's only September. We have until May. 6 months is ahead of us. And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And that's why minimum 3 million will die. More like 20 million will die from now to April. I'm Heerak Christian Community candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District. Because a lot of people are going to get COVID and die, a lot of doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, occupational therapists, they're going to die too. Because COVID is going to be everywhere. Everywhere, not just in hospitals, but everywhere. As flu season picks up. So since healthcare workers are working directly with patients, you're going to have a tremendous number of nurses die. As you know, I graduated from Georgetown University with a master's in clinical nurse leader, in clinical nurse leader cohort 2020. And there were 25 of us. And I'm predicting minimum 5 would die, more like 10 would die, just by Christmas, October, November, December, 3 months. Yeah, because are going to exponentially grow. PPE are going to run out. ICU beds are going to run out. Um, Nurses will have to use their masks over and over again. And some of them are going to get COVID. Unlike March, April, and May, when nurses who are 20 years old, like the teachers over there that you see, they didn't get COVID really. Older nurses did, but now young nurses are going to get COVID, and there are strains that give you stroke if you're in the 20s. So we're going to have thousands of young people die in every state from stroke, from COVID, blood coagulation from COVID, heart problems from COVID. And nurses are included in that group, like new nurses. 21-year-old nurses who just became nurses, they're going to get COVID. And some of them are going to have stroke and die. Some of them are going to be paralyzed from neck down, maybe in one part of their body at 21. That's like what, 60 years of living as a paralytic. So you're going to see this. I mean, you're going to see this in the general population, obviously, but also in nurses. A lot of nurses are going to die. Nursing is the most dangerous job right now in the world. Going into flu season, we're talking about 6 months of it. Yeah, that's why I'm saying minimum 5 from my cohort will die, but not just my cohort. Every nursing school cohort will die, minimum 5. Like 5% to 20% will die in the flu season. I would say like even before Christmas. Especially in big cities like Washington, D.C., where I'm in Arlington, which is like suburb of Washington. Yeah, it's going to be bad. So I'm going to do a cheer for my board members. CNL 2020, yay! Georgetown University, we graduated on August 24th, and we won our Georgetown pins. Amanda Patterson, who's the administrator for CNL 2020, she said she'll mail us our Georgetown pins. I guess she said like end of September, so I guess it's still not end of September. Yes, I guess she hasn't mailed. She haven't mailed it out yet. But she'll be mailing like our pins, CNL, clinical nurse leaders for master students. And then she'll also mail, I guess, the pins for BSNs, Bachelor's of Science in Nursing students. Yeah, and there were 26 of them. Yeah, so things are bad. Colombia is number 5, 818,203 cases, 3-person death, 25,641 have died. As I said, we had an induction ceremony, Kappa Delta Pi. As you can see, I was at the annual combo, 53rd annual combo of Kappa Delta Pi. And that was in, in Virginia. And so I went down, and I made a lot of friends. I'm with my African friends there. They're like educators who flew over from Africa because Kappa Delta Pi is an international honor society in education. So there's like Kappa Delta Pi inductees and members in the University of Nairobi. Different countries around the world have Kappa Delta Pi members. South Korea as well, where I immigrated from. So I'm there, that's the African group. And then in the middle, I'm taking a photo with Texas A&M University educators. They're Doctor of Education students there, or PhD in education students. And all 3 of us presented at the conference. I presented on, obviously, inner city urban education and how to improve urban education, because that's my specialty. I focus on the African American population. And underneath that is a photo of Kappa Delta Pi chapter from Texas. I think that's one of the Christian universities in Kappa Delta Pi. In Texas. So I forget the name of the Christian university. It's Evangelical Christian University. It was nice to share lunch with them. I get to know them. And underneath that is an educator from Tennessee. She and I, we shared our banquet dinner with. It was nice, And next to that is Caitlin from West Virginia. Caitlin's really nice. She graduated in May 2020 from a university in West Virginia, bordering on Virginia. I forget the name of the university, but It's like right at the border of Virginia. And she's really nice. I'm trying to get her to come and teach at Arlington Public Schools, or Alexandria City Public Schools, or Fairfax County Public Schools, or Falls Church City Public Schools, or District of Columbia Public Schools. She's really nice. It'd be nice to like hang out and talk education. I mean, she's not focusing on urban education like I am, but education is education. She's a fun person to talk to. She's a good dancer, because they had a big dance party on Saturday. Was it Saturday night? Yeah, and so I mean, I had my dance moves. So it was fun. Yeah. So we had an induction ceremony at our chapter of Kappa Delta Pi. As you know, I'm vice president of Kappa Delta Pi at American College of Education. So we inducted like over 40 students into Kappa Delta Pi. And so, yeah, I got to read the names of all the new inductees and say some nice words, and yeah, I always enjoy doing that. Yeah, and it's always great to celebrate. Um, their achievement. Being inducted into Kappa Delta Pi is a big deal. It's the primary honor society for education in the world, and it's like the primary one. And it's not easy to get inducted. You need to maintain certain GPA, and you have to meet the characteristics, the values of Kappa Delta Pi. And our president Joseph, he he uh, he generally does a good job of like explaining the mission of Kappa Delta Pi. And yeah, we have new exec members. So it was like exciting, I really enjoyed yeah, our induction ceremony. The new exec members were really good. Yeah, so yeah, so that's why I thought I will share photos again from Kappa Delta Pi. Uh, you know, uh, Annual combo. This year's combo was canceled. It was supposed to be in Kentucky, but it was canceled because of COVID-19. I think next year we're going to have it in Ohio. Yeah, I mean, if COVID-19 situation is improved, by some miracle, I'm definitely going to go, I want to see all my friends, new friends again from Kappa Delta Pi. I made a lot of friends. Every time I go to a conference, I make like dozens of friends. I think I might have made like over 100 friends this time. You know what I mean? I mean, it's easy to just like go to these conferences and, kind of reconnect and stuff, Um, yeah, so I love going to these conferences. Yeah, I miss everybody. I miss Caitlin. I miss everybody, at the conference. Um, yeah, anyway, yeah. So I'm glad that you joined me for this episode of COVID-19 Update by Heerak. Yeah, I would encourage you to watch the debate tomorrow. But hopefully the moderator will not go easy on President Trump or Joe Biden and ask tough questions, because that's what we need as a country right now. The liberal media has always been giving a pass to politicians, kind of like going easy on them, and that's not going to help any of us, 330 million Americans. We need the moderator, whoever he or she will be, um, to ask tough questions that we want answers to before we vote, right? I mean, don't you want answers before you vote? I mean, geez, COVID-19 is here for the next 4 years, according to the consensus of healthcare workers, and it's only going to get deadlier. Yeah, it's only going to get deadlier. More people are going to die next flu season than this flu season. And the following flu season, more people are going to die than. So 1 year from now, 2001 flu season will have more death than 2020 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. I hear a Christian Kim and predicting no vaccine will work from now until at least 10 years. Because scientists haven't even identified every strain of COVID-19. And it's a complex virus that's constantly mutating. Scientists cannot keep up. So how are you going to come up with a vaccine that works? It's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to work. Just be logical about this. How are you going to develop a vaccine for 2021 flu season? 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2021 flu season will have more death than 2020 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2021 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu season will have more death than 2021 flu season. 2022 flu se virus strains that you don't even know, you haven't identified. And there's constant mutation, and scientists don't even know how many mutations there are. So how are you going to develop a vaccine? It's like shooting at a forest with hope of shooting a deer down. I mean, you're not going to catch any deer that way. It's like, going to the sea and, you have that spear and you're like spearing everywhere without looking. How are you going to catch the fish? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not going to you're not going to get vaccines by stumbling around in the dark, you know? So I would argue that vaccines won't work. So the question we need to ask is, what are you going to do if none of the vaccines work, right? We need answer from Joe Biden. We need answer from Donald Trump. We need to know what they're going to do if zero vaccines work. That's what I'm saying, Heerak Christian Kim. I'm saying zero vaccines work. Obviously, Joe Biden thinks that some vaccines will work. President Trump thinks that some vaccines. I don't agree with Joe Biden, who I'm calling Tin Man Joe, as you know. I don't agree with President Trump. I don't think any of the vaccines will work. I'm not going to lie to you because I don't think it's rational to think that vaccines will work when scientists have not identified the strains. And that's what Dr. Fauci is saying. Vaccines will not protect you 100%. Of course, it's not going to protect you 100% because there are like dozens of strains that haven't been identified yet. No, duh. Of course, it's not going to work. Um, yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in the liberal media that tries to fool you and make you believe the vaccines will work. I mean, logically, how is vaccine going to work if scientists have not even identified the strains, different strains of COVID-19 that exist in the world? Um, and obviously, there's not going to be a cure for the same reason. They don't have all the strains. We want a listing of strains. I want CNN to list every single one of the original 40 strains the Chinese said exist in January of 2020. I want every one of those strains identified, explain to us what the differences are. And obviously there's been mutations since, but at least let's start with the original 40 strains. Tell us what they are, how they're different from each other, and then talk about the vaccine or the cure. We haven't even heard anything about the strains. That's why I don't believe the liberal media, and you shouldn't either. But yeah, so this is why this show is important. COVID-19 update by Heerak, because I ask the tough questions that CNN doesn't ask, because they're fake news. Liberal media doesn't ask the tough questions. And we need to ask tough questions tomorrow because your destiny is on the line. Next 4 years could be 4 years of COVID-19, progressively getting worse and worse every year. So what's the game plan, right? What's the game plan? We want to know. If vaccines don't work, what are you going to do? If none of the cures work, what are you going to do? We need to hear the game plan, right? When you want to hear the game plan, I mean, obviously, I wish vaccines would work. I wish there would be a cure, but there's no cure for HIV. There's no vaccine for HIV. They've been researching that for like decades. Why do you think there's going to be a cure for COVID-19? A vaccine for COVID-19 that works? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully the moderators tomorrow will ask the tough questions. We need them to ask the tough questions. 330 million Americans, we want to know. Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that you joined me today. So join me again tomorrow and tune in for the debates to see, what the responses by President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden will be, right? I hope that you'll be well and that your children will be well too. See you tomorrow. Bye.